Hey, what's going on, guys? This is US, and today I'm actually going to be reviewing the card Artifact Lancea. So this card has been quite meta impactful for a couple of years, and for a good reason, to be honest. So it is a hand trap that you can use during your opponent's turn to prevent both players from banishing cards, which can help you out and also hurt your opponent. But is this card really main deck worthy? Which decks actually lose to this? Which decks can actually play with this card, etc.? So this is what we're going to try to figure out today. But before I start, friendly reminder to like and subscribe because it motivates me a lot to keep making videos like these. And yeah, let's jump right into it. Alright, so for starters, Artifact Lancea is a level 5 light fairy monster, which means two things. It is searchable by Cyber Angel Benten, which is a key component in Drytron, which means that in Drytron, if you're going first, you might just always have access to this card, which can literally kill your opponent completely, but we're going to go into that later on. And also, it is special summonable by Artifact Sanctum, which is searchable by Trap Trick and Lilith Lady of Lament, and in a way kind of with Artifact Dagda, but at the same time, it just sets it. So unless you can do something really weird and I guess kind of adorable like Constellar Pleiades, return it back to your hand, or TG Wonder Magician summoned off of Needle Fiber to pop your own Artifact Lancea, that would actually revive back Lancea, and then you can actually tribute it either from your hand or field to the graveyard. So whether this card is used as a hand trap or as a monster that you summon off of Sanctum, it pretty much does the exact same thing. Now, covering the decks that actually completely lose to this card, and I mean like completely, well, the first one, I guess I want to say Virtual World actually takes a huge hit to Artifact Lancea, and the reason for that is because they lose the ability to search pretty much the best cards in their deck with King Long, which is the Virtual World Gate continuous spell, and also they cannot use the graveyard effect of Virtual World Gate Chooch. So this is actually really detrimental to their strategy for three reasons. First of all, they cannot make VFD that easily since the level adjustment is quite harder. They also just cannot really draw cards with Desires if you shotgun this during draw phase or standby. And on top of that, the third reason is the fact that since they don't actually have cards banished, their Virtual World Gate Chooch will never be able to pop cards during your opponent's turn, since I can't really think of too many ways for them to actually, banish card during your opponent's turn. They have 0 cards banished up until now, so this will actually be kind of rough for them, and they will actually definitely be facing up an uphill battle. So you can definitely save yourself from 2 interruptions with a single hand trap, which is always appreciated. Now, what I just said regarding the standby or draw phase shotgun of Artifact Lancea is kind of dangerous because you're also might be losing out to Cyframe Gear Gamma, but at the same time, since you're playing around 3 tactical talents, it might still make some sense. So it definitely has to be a meta call depending on what is mathematically correct, or are people playing more 3 tactical talents or Gamma, etc. So definitely something that you have to keep in mind when you actually play this card. Not only actually play this card in your deck, but actually use this card. So there's definitely quite a few big differences. So just make sure you keep that in mind and you'll be fine. I want to say the deck that loses to Lancea the most would probably be Dinosaurs. Honestly, they kind of just fall to that. They can't even use the graveyard effect of Miscellaneous Zorus. They cannot summon Conductor Tyranno with its own summoning condition because it would have to, banish 2 dinosaurs from the graveyard to summon itself. And they can't really use Double Evolution Pill because they would have to banish a dinosaur and a non-dinosaurs from the grave and hand or hand. So that's just really bait for them. It kind of just skips their turn. If they Lightning Storm you and you have, just a bunch of Eldritch cards, and you Lancea them after that, well, they're kind of just passing and not really OTKing you, so they're just wasting a Lightning Storm, which is a really good card, because obviously all of your 5 cards probably just float into more cards, which you would have to do during the next turn, because even you cannot banish cards. So in a way, it can kind of hurt you, but it has the potential to help you out quite a lot, and because of cards like Lancea, people don't really want to play Evenly and Cosmic Cyclone as much, and this is a trend that we've been seeing a lot in the OCG, whereas people are just playing Lightning Storm, Twin, and sometimes even MST, which is kind of weird. And the reason for that is because it also plays around, I guess, Imperial Order and Anti-Spell Fragrance, which are other cards that people are playing to counter, I guess, Lightning Storms. I guess this is kind of like similar to Evenly as in the way that it actually has counters and can't really be played around, but Twin and MST, what are really doing against them. The third deck that actually completely loses to this is Invoked, or I guess any Invoked strategy that really requires the Invoked, or when your hand just has only a bunch of Alistairs and Meltdowns and Invocations. This actually can go really sour for them, because let's just say you go like Alistair effect to search Invocation, you already have Alistair in hand and like something else, and then you go Invocation, your opponent goes Lancea. You're not allowed to use the Alistair in your grave or field, because that would actually just force them to be banished. It actually, even if it is on the field, you can't just say, oh, I'm just gonna send it, because it is actually part of Invocation's card text. But if they can resolve Invocation the other way, you know, by sending 2 monsters from the hand to the graveyard, they absolutely have to. So they might just be wasting Alistairs because of that, and because of the fact that it is not, once again, not getting banished, they won't have any Alistairs in the banished, meaning that Invocation won't be able to get recycled, won't go back to the deck to recycle back an Alistair. So this can actually double destroy them, and also on top of that, if they summon Merkaba after that and you hand trap them after that, well, they cannot use Merkaba because it negates and banish, which is just dreadful. On the other hand though, this card completely sucks against Shaddoll Dragma strategies. They literally just barely banish. I guess it prevents them from summoning Maximus Dragma, so if you see that they actually surge the card, just Lancea preemptively and you'll be okay. So against Eldritch, this card is interesting since it's a trap deck. This card would be good on like turn 3, turn 5, etc. So when you're kind of just starting to diminish their resource and they're trying to recover, now you say, okay, I won't even give you a chance to recover. So they lose out on a lot of potential interruptions, and because of that, they just can't really keep up with your pace, and you can kill them next turn. So just something that you can also keep in mind, because hand traps usually aren't really good against control decks, but Eldritch is kind of, you know, a counter example because it actually does lose to Lancea. So yeah. Alright, so in Drytron, this card is really good since it is searchable by Cyber Angel Benton, but against Drytron, this card's not really good. Honestly, the only thing it really prevents would be like, I don't know, sketchy things like Soul of Purity and Light, Ava, and stuff like that. So I don't know. I don't think this card is too great against Drytron. I wouldn't really bother. You would probably have to side them out, honestly. Man, this card is super nasty against Dragon Link. They can't even summon the baby dragons. Chaos Space wouldn't really have the best impact out there. Levineer cannot be summoned because that would banish. Can't really think of too much, honestly. Just chaos-based strategy decks, Infernoids, stuff like that would completely lose to this super hard. So this also covers a lot of rogue decks, and like I said, the fact that it protects you all as well from evenly and stuff like that is also another bonus to keep in consideration. The final thing that I want to say actually is the fact that it is not once per turn and actually protects you from Called by the Grave. So let's just say you actually ashed your opponent on something and then they chain Called by the Grave. Well, you can chain the Lancea, so not only Called by the Grave actually doesn't work, they're under Lancea and the Ash successfully resolves since the Ash never got banished in the first place. So it's kind of acts as a better Ghost Bell in certain situations, but remember that this also stops you from banishing as well. So if you need to banish cards during your opponent's turn, well, it might actually be kind of bad. So in case you're playing Ice Dragon's Prison, just watch out, because the best that you can do is just steal an opponent's monster from the graveyard. You can even revive back an attack if you really want to, which is kind of cool because you can revive back Link monsters. So it's still kind of like a DD Crow that doesn't banish in a way. You get what I'm saying, since it interrupts the opponent's graveyard, but it doesn't do as much as it's supposed to be. Anyways, that's pretty much it for my review on Artifact Lancea. I hope you guys were able to learn a thing or two with this, and if you have any comments or feedback or whatever, let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, because it motivates me a lot to keep making videos like these. And that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.